Member for Prince George North Caribou.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Glad to be back again. This year, British Columbia received an F for poverty, an F for housing, and an F for government support from Food Banks Canada. Mr. Speaker, why does the Minister of Poverty Reduction continue to claim progress when every independent measure shows her ministry is failing across the board?
Minister of Social Development.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We are very concerned about the impacts of global inflation and now the extra threat of uncertainty created by tariffs and the impacts on people. We all hear and feel the pressures on people every day. What I will say, though, is that there was no poverty reduction strategy until this government came into place. Social assistance rates were frozen for a decade. When the Leader of the Opposition was sitting at the cabinet table, we've increased rates 5 times. We've increased minimum wage 7 times after that. When the Leader of the Opposition was in government, his Minister of Social Development removed the disability bus pass from people with disabilities. We returned it, and the list goes on. We have got a lot more work to do, but we'll hold our record up against the Leader of the Opposition's any day.
Member for Delta South.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, after 32 years in his home, Ken, an 86-year-old South Delta constituent of mine, was evicted, given 5 minutes to gather what he could, and left to sleep in his car. He was denied income assistance because he owned the vehicle he was forced to sleep in. This is how BC treats its seniors after a lifetime of work and contributing to this economy. How does the Social Development Minister justify a system that punishes struggling seniors and abandoning them completely?
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That sounds like a terrible story, and I hope that the member will bring that directly to my office so we can find out what happened. After the age of 65, income supports are delivered by the federal government, not the provincial government, but nevertheless, we are very concerned about seniors' poverty. We did double the seniors.
Members. Member.
Excellent.
Member.
Well, I'm hearing the member yell that he has sent it to my office, and I will get back to him this afternoon with what we found. But again, I'll say we are working, we have targeted poverty reduction, and we've been pushing the federal government to add income supports. And when the federal government supports for seniors are inadequate, then we are doing our best to provide emergency supports for seniors. If any members have got challenges, please do bring them to my office, and we'll work together.
Thank you. Member for Kelowna Centre.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Low-income British Columbians are struggling to make ends meet, and the actions of this NDP government are only making things worse. Income assistance in BC is $935 a month. Rentals.ca reported this morning that the average rent for a 1-bedroom in Vancouver is over $2,500. How does this Minister of Social Development and Poverty Reduction expect anyone to survive when government support doesn't even cover half the rent?
Minister of Social Development and Poverty Reduction.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We all feel in every community the impact of global inflation and absolutely the impact of housing costs on people across every income level. That's why we've been investing so much, both in building out affordable housing and also just, for example, this week with the support of the Green Party, expanding the SAFER and RAP grants to be able to apply rent relief to people in particularly high markets. We have increased the shelter rate twice already under this government for exactly that reason. And importantly, because although we've increased income assistance rates 5 times, where the Leader of the Opposition had frozen, his government had frozen rates for a decade. We also recognize that income assistance alone is not enough for people to work on. That's why to live on. And that's why we've been working so hard to increase the earnings threshold so that people can add employment income, and through the work of our Work BC centres and partners across the province, supporting people who have been alienated from the workforce so that they can add earned employment income along with income assistance.
Member for Abbotsford West.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Rather than supporting people living with disabilities, this NDP government is actively holding them back. The income cutoff for disability assistance is a mere $19,440 for a household per year. 2 people expected to survive on less than $1,620 a month during affordability crisis. Mr. Speaker, does the Minister of Social Development seriously believe that's enough for 2 people with disabilities to live in British Columbia with dignity?
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Absolutely, the work that we have been doing as a government to build supports for people living with disabilities has been at the centre of our work. That's why we brought in British Columbia's first accessibility legislation. That's why we have increased rates for people with disabilities, again, which the previous BC Liberal government, the Leader of the Opposition, froze. Well, that's why we have made 5 increases to disability rates since 2017, the largest by any government in British Columbia ever. Since 2017, the rate for a single person is up 74% from where we found it when we formed government. And this year, our budget invests another $1.6 billion over 3 years to support expanded income disability assistance. There is more for us to do, but our record of investing people is clear, and we will continue to do that work.
Member for Abbotsford Mission.
Mr. Speaker, children deserve our love, our support, and our protection. But in British Columbia, while children make up just 15% of the population, they are 30% of food bank users. Can this social development minister explain how a government that claims to care about kids allows 1 in 3 food bank users to be a hungry child?
Minister of Social Development. Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What we hear is a deep need for people to have access to nutritious, affordable food wherever they are. We absolutely have front-ended our investments into making sure that children get their very best start. Our work that we funded directly through the United Way to establish food hubs in communities in all corners of the province has been a very important part of that work, knitting together community response. And especially encouraging is when I see the work of my ministry linking into the work with the Ministry of Education and Childcare for the first time for our province to have invested in school food programs so that kids start their day with a good meal. It's foundational. It's work that has never been funded at this rate by any provincial government in BC, and the need has never been deeper.
Member for Columbia River Revelstoke.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the CEO at Community Living BC gets a $12,000 vehicle allowance on top of a $300,000 salary. All the while, families across BC are $200 away from not being able to pay their bills every month. Mr. Speaker, why is the Poverty Reduction Minister supporting luxury lifestyles while food banks across this province are maxed out?
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Which way to take the member's question? The investments that we have made in expanding supports for adults with developmental disabilities who are served by the Crown Agency, Community Living BC, expanded again this year because people with disabilities are living longer. That is a good news story, but the caseload has increased. The focus, absolutely, 97% of the budget goes directly to people that need supports, and we hear from families and adults with developmental disabilities that they need more support. And that's why, again, this year's budget has expanded by an additional $380 million over 3 years to support the increase in clients supported by Community Living BC. We will continue to do that work.
Member for Langley Willowbrook.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. 67% of youth aging out of care go to bed hungry. 90% can't afford 3 meals a day. How does this social development minister explain a system that lets young people enter adulthood starving and in debt after growing up in government care?
Minister of Social Development.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The problem that the member names is exactly why British Columbia's first homelessness strategy invested very first in young people leaving foster care. I remember so clearly the words of Premier Horgan saying, if children were removed from their families, it's our government's responsibility to set them up in the very best way. That's why we've extended the age of majority for children to age 26. I'm looking at the minister, and that's exactly so that we can bridge in those ways so that young people have the very best start. They have $600 more every month to go towards rent. This is the SAGE program. And that gives us an opportunity for kids leaving foster care to get connected with the nutritious food, with the income supports, with free tuition that we've made available at every college and university. This is all work to have young people exiting care be on their very best step and make life more affordable for them.
Member for Boundaries Milkameen.
Indigenous people in BC face poverty rates nearly twice the provincial average. It's even higher for children in our rural communities. When will this Minister of Poverty Reduction start providing the basic supports Indigenous families need to survive?
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. When we asked people across British Columbia, as we rebuilt our poverty reduction strategy, which was tabled in this House this year, we heard from people all across the province, 70% of whom had direct lived experience with poverty. A significant number were Indigenous people, and we did a completely separate Indigenous stream. The advice that we got is built directly into our poverty reduction strategy. We're working with partners, meeting with leaders from across nations, from every First Nation, to talk about how between federal income support delivery and off-reserve, off-nation income support delivery, which comes from the province, how we can work together to get the very best connection. We're absolutely concerned and working together with First Nations leadership about how we can build systems that are culturally informed and helping people change their lives for the better.
House Leader of the Official Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I heard the minister reflect that they've launched a poverty reduction strategy in 2019. But, Mr. Speaker, this government has had 8 years, 3 mandates, 2 premiers, and all we've seen is a record number of food bank users across the province of British Columbia. We're talking about a ministry that gives a CEO $12,000 car allowance. Wow. When I have a constituent, Mary Jean, I hope that you're watching, who suffered a stroke at 53 and was forced to return to work in excruciating pain just to survive. She lives with her adult disabled son who cannot work, and together they rely on 2 next to nothing disability checks. Very careful, of course, for her hours as to not suffer clawbacks on her limited income. Since then, we've seen all of the members on this side, and I'm sure the House could agree, that food insecurity and housing has become unaffordable.
Question, member.
My question is the same question that Mary Jean came to ask me in my office. And that is, what is the purpose of government if it cannot support its most vulnerable? And do she and her son have the human right to live?
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The people that are at the heart of this work, just as the member cites, this is exactly why we're in government, to build the systems that combat the impacts.
Member.
Yeah, they're heckling. I haven't even said 3 words already. So this is exactly what motivates our government. We see across the globe the impacts of global inflation. We see people in every corner of the province, at every corner of...
Members, let her conclude.
Shall I wait
please.
for the members to stop heckling, Mr. Speaker? Oh, for goodness sakes. Okay, the member says we haven't taken action. We have increased minimum wage 7 times. We have increased income assistance 74%.
Members.
We have decreased the...
Member will come to order.
We've decreased...
Obviously, the opposition is not interested in listening answers, so let's end the question period.